Well, it seems to be time, so I will start this demonstration. Hello, everyone. I'm glad you came by. My name is Frank Kutka. I am a corn breeder. I live in Dickinson, North Dakota, and I'm going to talk about hand pollinating corn. Now, there are several reasons why you might hand pollinate your corn. One is you have such a small patch, you don't get good pollination, and you just get sort of sketchy sweet corn with a spotty set of kernels. Another one is if you save seed for a variety that's very special and you want to make sure it stays pure and you don't want your neighbor's corn crossing with it. And the third is if you're a corn breeder, that's what you do every day. So all summer long while the pollen's flying, I'm pollinating corn. So I'm going to explain the plant a little bit and its biology, and then I'll show you how we do this trick. So I'll go to the magic board here. All right, corn is a grass. It has a central stalk. Most modern corn only has one stalk. Older varieties have several, because that's a thing. Nice big wide leaves for the most part. And then, unlike many other plants, corn has flowers that are not showy, and they're not complete. They have a flower at the top, a tassel. That's the first flower to show. It's actually an inflorescence. It's a huge number of flowers. Those are the male flowers in most corn. Some varieties get a little flaky, but for the most part, the tassel is at the end. It's a determinate grower, and you get the male flowers, and the pollen will be setting at the top of the plant. Then on a secondary shoot, a branch, somewhere down the line, we will get an ear shoot. And the ear shoot is the female inflorescence. So this is where we're going to have all the female flowers. They're mostly covered over with leaves we call husks. And the only part you really ever see are the silks. Those are the stigmas. Those are the things that catch the pollen so that we can complete fertilization and set seeds. So how do we get the pollen from the top to the rest of it? You know, with a lot of the flowers that are complete, you can even have self-pollination. A lot of flowers that are pretty and have nectar and things, you can have insects come and do the pollination. How does it work for corn? Well, corn sheds millions and millions of corn pollen grains, and they blow on the wind. It is wind pollinated. So you will have a nice patch of plants, the wind will blow, and it will blow pollen all across the field, and you'll get pollination to occur, and following that, you'll get seed set. It takes a certain number of plants to really get good seed set, and they recommend at least 4 rows or more if you can, so you'll get adequate cross-pollination among those plants and get good seed set on every ear. If you just have a single long row, chances are you won't get seed set unless you help it a little bit and carry some pollen around. Whatever you do, if you have to do hand pollinating, these are the steps, these are the tools, and I will show you right here. So first, you get your utility belt, because you're now a superhero. Gonna get the job done. Okay, in my utility belt, I have a whole kit of things. I have here paper bags for covering the tassel to catch pollen. We call those tassel bags. We have little tiny waxy paper bags. These are 217s, they're really nice and small. These are ear shoot bags for covering up the silks. So if you have to do completely controlled pollination, you will need these. If you just have a little patch of corn and you want good seed set in your garden, any bag that can catch pollen would be fine. Just go out there while the pollen's shedding in the morning, shake a bunch of pollen into the bag, and then dust it on all of the silks that are there. You'll be fine. If you want varieties to be pure, you have to do a whole different way of going at it, because just catching pollen on the plants, it could have blown in from anywhere. If you're going to do careful work in breeding, you have to catch known pollen and put it on known females. So when the ear shoot shows up, when it's really little, we'll cover it up with these before the silks show. And after a while, the silks will come out, and you'll see a little tuft of silk at the end of the bag. Then you know it's time to go out and collect pollen. So although the tassels come up first, we do these bags first. Make sure that no unwanted pollination takes place. You put those ear shoots on when the little shoot is there with no silk showing. Once those are on and we have a pile of silk inside, now we're going to collect pollen. So in a late afternoon or evening, the day before we want to do this, we'll go to those plants and we will put a tassel bag on top of the tassels, and we will fold the bag tightly around the base of the tassel and use one of my other superhero tricks, an enormous, slightly roughened paper clip. That will hold the bag on through most any wind that comes, and when it's time to take it off, it's really easy to do. So I'm going to have a couple of volunteers help me demonstrate, because they're going to be corn plants for us right now. So if you two will stand up in front here. Okay, go ahead and face our audience. All right, I want each of you, put your right hand up and spread your fingers. That's a tassel. And then put your other hand somewhere around your middle and put your thumb out. That's an ear shoot. Now just imagine they're really thin and covered with green leaves, and you're good. It's perfect, right? Just exactly like a corn plant. So, and you're going to help me hold this very nicely. Go ahead, squeeze it. There you go. Sometime before the silk show, but after the ear shoots come out, we'll go and cover those up.
Just cover the part where the shoots are,
Where the ear, yep, we'll cover. Oh, the entire ear. We'll shove that right on, and the ear will grow up into that a little bit. Early on, before seed set, the ear will still be pretty short, so it'll fit in this bag with no problem. Good question. Then, what I'm going to do, as I said, late afternoon, I'm going to go out and put a tassel bag on. Now, if their wrists were just a little bit thinner, I could paper clip them on there, but their wrists are thicker than a tassel, so I can't. Ooh, there we go. All right. So why would we do this the night before? In the morning is when the biggest pulse of fresh pollen hits, and corn pollen doesn't live long. So I put this bag on the afternoon before. Any pollen that has blown onto there from somebody else's field will die by morning. And in the morning, these will start to shed fresh pollen. Each of these will probably catch a quarter of a teaspoon or so, which is millions and millions of pollen grains, way more than I could possibly need, but it's what I'll catch. And so I'm going to show you what I'll do, but I'll explain it first. I'm going to go to a plant and bend over a little bit so the tassel is bent a bit. I'm going to shake it really good, carefully take off the bag. I'm going to fold it over so I can carry it to wherever I have to go. I'm going to go to that next plant. I'm going to get up close, get that bag ready. I'm going to yank off the ear shoot bag and whip on the tassel bag from another plant as fast as I possibly can to avoid any possible contamination. Then I'll flip it up and shake bazillions of pollen grains on there, and then that ear's fine. I will staple that bag to the plant, leave it there all season, and it's good. There are a lot of funny ways for each ear, yes. If I have to do perfectly controlled pollinations, if I'm just going through a garden and I want a better seed set, I would just take one of these bags in the morning, shake pollen into it, and then just dump it on your ears, and you'd never use these at all. Each plant in this case will pollinate one other plant's ear of corn.
Oh, I see.
Because if we put this pollen onto this ear, it's self, and we're inbreeding very strongly. So what I'm going to show you is chain sibbing, although it's a chain of one, because I'm just going to go from one plant to the next. But anyway, here it goes. Oh, yep.
You have
Do we have more than one female ear shoot per plant? Sometimes, but oftentimes no. There's usually one main ear, and sometimes if conditions are good or a very strong variety, you can get some other ears to set. But usually the top ear is going to be it. There might be some others you'll see, but they frequently won't set. But good question. They can be anywhere. Ears can form just below the tassel in some varieties in the tropics, and some of the local native varieties here, the ears form right near the ground. Most modern corn is kind of in the middle because people about this high like to work with things that are about here, and you can get a corn picker or a combine under that. So anyway, I'm going to collect pollen, do the pollination, and I'm not going to staple my bag on either because, of course, Jesse here is too wide. But here's how it goes. So I'm going to, it's morning time, probably about 10 in the morning. Dew's dried off, pollen's shedding on the other plants. Bend this over, give it a good shake. Shake that good. Okay, I'm set. It's that easy. And I'm going to go over here where I have an ear shoot. And this ear shoot is comfortably long ways from the stalk, so that's very easy to get to. On real plants, it's a little tighter and you have to poke through the leaves and stuff, but whatever. So I go like so. Bang. Just like that. See how fast that was? That's what you want to do. Because in North Dakota, it's windy. Pollen's blowing all over the place. Go fast. And then once I have it covered, shake like so, it's all pollinated. Then I would take the back parts here, bend it around the stalk, and sling this out of my holster, staple it on, and it'll stay there all season. Come fall, I know what this is. I can write on it to tell me what I did if I'm doing some fancy breeding, and I can pick those ears later and we're set to go. With a true, just a moment, with a true chain sibbing, I would have 100 or 200 plants. So I would go from the first plant to the second one to the third one, and so on. When I get to the very last plant at the end, then I would come back over here and finish the chain by taking care of this ear. In that way, I've done the least amount of fooling around. I've used every single plant, so I've maintained all the genetic diversity that could possibly be in this little population. So if I'm saving an old Native American variety of corn, an old Oscar Will variety of corn, whatever kind of corn variety is I'm saving, I can maintain all of its diversity. It won't get inbred and it'll stay productive for as long as I grow it.
Why didn't you keep that sap on his ear?
Because I wanted to show you how this all worked. In real life, I would have left it there and stapled it around him, but he would have had to squeeze a little bit.
Well, some of us have to get really specific.
Yes, I would put that on there, staple it on, and leave it for sure. Yes.
You staple it on, you do it over the tassels, or where do you do that?
I staple it on so that this is over the ear shoot, and this back part here, just like so, just these back wings. See, the ear shoot's in here, and the back wings are folded around the back of the stalk and stapled.
Where you got the stock?
The stalk is going to hold it in place. North Dakota winds can sometimes still make that challenging, but we do what we can. I really like this kind of stapler because it's easy to whip in and out of my pocket and use. Also, it has wavy staples, which offer just a little bit more holding power because wind is pretty exciting here, and sometimes I'll put in 2 staples anyway. Don't staple too tightly because as a developing ear grows, it will fill that bag, and a really big ear can actually break right through the bag if it's too tight. But that's the basic part of how it works. And I will just take these back. Thanks so much. A round of applause for Moon and Jesse here. Yes, sir.
When I'm new to the corn country,
Sure.
I see some look like insects that bore down. Now, do these bags keep that from happening?
Will the bags protect the ears from boring insects and other things? Sometimes. Sometimes little beetles will still crawl up in there and chew all the silks off. Once in a while, a moth will still go in there and lay eggs, and you can get a caterpillar. But it does actually dissuade a lot of them because it covers it up. It's just not as obvious. It's not perfect against raccoons, I guarantee you, but it does sort of dissuade them and confuse them a little bit. And especially if you go out with a sprayer and spray hot pepper juice up the bags, if you're doing like sweet corn seed saving, that helps a lot because they don't like that as much. Anything that's not covered, if there's raccoons there, it's gone. They're wicked. Yeah?
Do you ever have the issue of grasshoppers eating the bags?
Do grasshoppers eat the bags? Yes. I've seen grasshoppers eat every part of the plant and the bags and everything. Yes, they can be amazing. It's impressive they don't eat the people out there too. They just take everything.
For dealing with grasshoppers?
What to do with grasshoppers? Eat them, sure. Yeah, I can't think of what you would do with keeping them off the bags if there's a really big outbreak. There are a couple of bacterial insecticides that can be applied. Semaspore, I think it's called. You can sprinkle that around the field when the grasshoppers are really tiny, and it causes them to get sick and die. And grasshoppers are remarkably cannibalistic, and so if one dies or even just gets a little slow, the others will eat it, and the disease will spread, and it'll thin out the herd quite a bit without putting actual poisons on the ground. That's an option that floats around. But as far as saving the bags, I don't know.
We're just going to have a lot of bird feeders around to get the birds.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's what we're going to try.
Fire. Any other questions? All right, well, thanks everyone. Hope it was fun.